showing a fierce battle between a man named Bong Weigong against two delinquent youths who wanted to kill him. Despite being alone and unarmed, Weigong can easily defeat them. Not long after, a group of delinquent youths arrived at the place and were very surprised to see their two comrades who had been overthrown by Weigong. At the same time, he gets an incoming text message from his wife asking about a teenage girl he should be taking care of right now. In the message, his wife mentions that she hopes the girl is okay and that he can bond with her. The scene then switches to a few days earlier, where at that time, Weigong is relaxing at home reading a book. His wife, Yoon-ji, then came to him and expressed her desire to have a vacation to Jeju Island with her best friend and also to survey the location of the restaurant that she plans to build with her best friend. Yoon-ji, planning to go away for 2 weeks, then asked her husband to take care of her best friend's stepdaughter, a 17-year-old girl named Yoon-ji. Hearing his wife's request, he immediately raised his objection, saying he was not a nanny, especially when she said Yoon-ji would stay at their house for a while. Weigong gets into a small argument with his wife until he finally relents and agrees to her request to look after Yoon-ji during her business trip. The next day, he drives Yoon-ji and her best friend, Kim Soo-ah, to the airport and promises to look after Yoon-ji while they're away. At night, Weigong seems to have fallen asleep in his car while waiting for Yoon-ji, who has to take extra lessons after school. Yoon-ji then knocks on his car window, waking him up. He immediately tells her to get in his car and head home. However, she asks him to take her and her friend to Hongdae because they have something to buy there. Arriving at their destination, Yoon-ji tells Weigong that she wants to stay at her friend's house for a few days and begs him to keep it a secret from her mother. Without a second thought, he goes along with her wish, figuring he might be able to relax all the time without worrying about her well-being. Soon afterward, Weigong asks for Yoon-ji's wallet and puts in some money before returning the wallet to her. Before she leaves with her friend, Weigong tells her not to hesitate to call him anytime, especially when she needs help. Not only that, but he also asks her to be careful and keep herself from getting involved in any trouble. After that, he rushed back to his house because he was very sleepy and wanted to sleep soon. Later at home, Weigong wakes up to the sound of his cell phone ringing, signaling an incoming call that turned out to be Yoon-ji. On the other end of the phone, she sounds in pain and begs him to come somewhere soon. Thinking that Yoon-ji needs help, Weigong rushes his car to the location she told him on his phone. However, when he gets there, how surprised he is when he finds out that Yoon-ji is fine and is currently chatting casually with a man. Seeing Weigong's arrival, Yoon-ji immediately introduced him to the man, who she said that Weigong was her uncle. She then tells him that the man is her senior in school. Shortly after the man leaves them, Weigong asks why she is still hanging around at this late night, even though she said...
First of all, she said she was going to her best friend's house, but she in a restaurant with a senior. Now, why is she calling his phone saying she needs his help when she fine? She crying wolf. Until the wolf bite her ass, she gonna find out. Well, let's go, man.
Said she wants to stay at the friend's house tonight. However, Yoon-ji completely ignores Weigong's questions and gets engrossed in her smartphone, which makes him irritated at her for daring to play with him. Weigong then asks her to come home, but she refuses, saying she's going to her friend's house. Weigong, annoyed, decides to leave and return home to continue his sleep. But then, he sees Yoon-ji riding a motorcycle ridden by a man she says is her senior. He didn't want to care about her anymore. Suddenly, Hyun-soo sends a text message asking how Yoon-ji is. Because of that, Weigong turns the car around and trails her with the tracking device he had previously tucked into her purse when he put some money in her pocket. Yoon-ji is taken by that man to a closed ice skating rink and then brings her in front of Song-yeon, a girl involved in criminal things, where she uses handsome boys to seduce several young girls to get them to date. After that, Song-yeon would kidnap and force the young girls to become hookers and profit from them. Yoon-ji and her friend have apparently been targeted by Song-yeon and could easily fall into her trap of using handsome boys to seduce them. Yoon-ji's friend seems to be in tears and begs Song-yeon to release them, but she doesn't care at all and instead slaps the girl. Meanwhile, Yoon-ji tries to fight her, but her efforts are in vain. Shortly afterward, Weigong, who finally arrived there, asked Song-yeon to free Yoon-ji and her friend and threatened to beat Song-yeon and her henchmen. However, she ignores his warnings and orders her henchmen to attack him. With his fighting skills, the delinquent youths who are Song-yeon's men are by no means a match for Weigong, who can easily take them all down. Even when she stabs him in the stomach, he still stands tall and retaliates for her by knocking her unconscious. He then takes Yoon-ji home and asks her to rest. The next day, Yoon-ji, looking curiously at Weigong, asked about his work since he lived in a mansion and it was luxurious. He simply says that he has a fairly successful business in property and asks her not to ask personal questions.
Y'all, we back. We back, man. Sorry about that interruption, but let's go. Let's go.
In the evening, Wigong invites Yoon-ji to dinner at a restaurant.
Burger King.
On their way home from there, they pass by the location of the skating rink, the place where he beat up Song-yeon and her henchmen. Surprisingly, the arena had been lined with police lines, and many police officers passed by, indicating that something had happened there. Several policemen stopped vehicles passing through the location, including a policeman named Lee Yong-ho, who stopped Wigong's car. Yong-ho informs Wigong that there has been a murder at the ice skating rink and asks him a few things. He looks relaxed to answer every question the policeman asks. However, Yoon-ji acted strangely, as if she was hiding something, and was afraid that the police would find out. When he finally got home, Wigong rushed to find out about the murder case at the ice skating rink and was very surprised to find out that the victims were young delinquents who had been badly beaten by him the day before. On the other hand, Yoon-ji, who is in her room, looks very upset and sends someone a text message, and was very surprised to learn that the victims were young delinquents who had been beaten up by Wigong the day before. The following day, Yong-ho goes to Wigong's house and asks about his alibi at the time of the murder because through the CCTV footage around the crime scene, his car was seen passing through the street 30 minutes before the murder occurred. Not only that, but Yong-ho also managed to find CCTV camera footage showing Yoon-ji driving with one of the victims of the murder, where the man, as well as other victims, turned out to be her schoolmates. However, Wigong refuses to go into detail, so Yong-ho becomes suspicious of him and questions his relationship with a teenage girl like Yoon-ji. He tells the policeman that he was only asked to help look after her while her mother and his wife are on a business trip to Jeju Island. He then asks Yong-ho for clearer evidence of his and Yoon-ji's involvement in the murder case first, and if he has, he can formally interrogate them. After Yong-ho leaves, Wigong then goes to Yoon-ji and asks her to tell the truth if she knows something about the murder of her schoolmates. After learning about her current situation, Wigong is reminded of the past when he met a girl who wanted to end her life. He wanted to know what she wanted, and then she asked for a hug from him, which he did, and after that, she lost consciousness. Wigong is distracted from his past memories when he hears Yoon-ji's cell phone ringing, which turns out to be an incoming call from Song-yeon. Knowing that Song-yeon was on the phone, he grabbed Yoon-ji's cell phone to talk to her. Song-yeon wants to tell Wigong that she has the knife with his fingerprints, which could be trouble for him if it is turned to the police. Since she threatens to hand over the knife to the police, Wigong is forced to agree to her request to meet her within an hour.
Damn.
He then asks Yoon-ji to stay home while he goes to see Song-yeon. Yoon-ji is scared because she will be alone at home, then forced to come along. But Wigong says she will make things difficult for him and gives her a bracelet with a tracking device just in case a bad thing happens. After that, Wigong rushed to prepare his weapons to face the worst. On the other hand, Song-yeon feels great after successfully threatening him. However, Song-yeon does not know that Wigong is a former professional killer who is very feared in the crime world, not only in South Korea, but also across the globe. Knowing that she kept Yoon-ji's wallet with a tracking device, he rushed to her whereabouts. Wigong finally arrives at an apartment, where he meets a man named Jong, Song-yeon's cousin and the person who runs an illegal business involving underage girls. He then summons one of his large, tall men to confront Wigong. However, he had made a big mistake by underestimating Wigong, who did not hesitate to beat and torture his men. On the other hand, Song-yeon, who hears the commotion, then rushes out and is very surprised to see Wigong's presence there. He asks Song-yeon to hand over the knife with his fingerprints on it, but she and Jong make things worse by pointing guns at Wigong. Jong finally hands the knife to him and rushes off with Song-yeon. Taking the knife, Wigong immediately chases after them but loses track when entering a dimly lit room. At that place, Wigong faces a man whose fighting ability is almost on par with his. He was involved in a fierce battle with the man until finally, the man chose to run away after Wigong managed to injure him badly. After the fight, Wigong rushes home and finds that his house has been burglarized by a group of people who came to kidnap Yoon-ji. He immediately tracked her whereabouts with a tracking device until finally arriving at an apartment building that was used as a location to conduct an illegal business involving underage girls. Wigong hears a girl's scream from one of the rooms, and it turns out that the girl is Yoon-ji's friend, whom a boy almost beats her up. He then saves her and asks where Yoon-ji was. On the other hand, Song-yeon, who turns out to be there too, notices Wigong's arrival and rushes away. However, he manages to stop her and forces her to tell her where Yoon-ji is. Since Song-yeon
chill. So, you already know the man could fight, he could kill people, but yet still y'all went back to the man's house to kidnap Shorty and her friend. Like, make sense out of nonsense. Y'all that stupid? Like, that ass. Y'all deserve what's coming. I will slap this shit. Actually, The title said something. She deserves to die.
Refuses to say anything about Yoon-ji. Wee-gong is forced to tie her up and torture her to get information about Yoon-ji and her criminal gang.
Yeah.
Song-yeon reveals that they deliberately involved underage girls in launching the illegal business run by Jong, where they then hired the young girls to seduce adult men, then blackmailed the men for giving them pleasure. To smooth their business, Jong and his gang have teamed up with some corrupt cops and share the profits with them. Song-yeon reveals to Wee-gong that Yoo-jin and several other young girls will be sent to Russia to become a hooker and tells him the address of a hotel where Jong is holding them before taking them to Russia. Not long after, Young-ho arrives there after getting a report from a resident who heard the commotion in the place. When he enters the apartment, he is surprised to see Song-yeon already seriously injured, and Wee-gong is nowhere to be seen. Meanwhile, Wee-gong finally arrives at the hotel and fights with the delinquent youth seen at the film's beginning. Even alone, he can easily kill a group of people with sharp weapons and has precise marksmanship, so it doesn't take long for Wee-gong to kill the thugs who get in his way. Wee-gong then asks about Yoon-ji from the 3 surviving delinquents and doesn't hesitate to kill them when they can't share the information he wants. Soon after, a blonde-haired man appeared and introduced himself as Yuri. Yuri, of Russian descent, turns out to be a man who once fought against Wee-gong in Jong's place. Yuri reveals himself as a professional assassin who works for the Russian mafia and tells Wee-gong that Yoon-ji will be taken to Russia on a ship that leaves at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Knowing that he didn't have much time because it was already early in the morning, Wee-gong had other plans to deal with him. Wee-gong rushes back into the hotel and again engages in a fierce battle with Yuri. However, during the fight, he traps Yuri, then recklessly jumps from the upstairs window and falls right on top of Young-ho's car, which managed to track his footsteps at that place. Young-ho immediately points a gun at Wee-gong and accuses him of murdering Song-yeon and the man at the ice skating rink some time ago. Wee-gong faces the accusations as calmly as ever until he finally grabs Young-ho's gun and turns to threaten him. Since it's already morning, he is forced to handcuff Young-ho and Yuri to the car while he drives it at high speed to save Yoon-ji.
Yeah, you want to know?
Long
Let's
story
go
short,
with me.
Wee-gong arrives at the port just before Yoon-ji is brought into a ship about to leave for Russia. He immediately kills the gangsters who kidnapped her and saves her. But then, Jong arrives there and intends to kill him by bumping into him. Wee-gong manages to dodge, then urges Jong to reveal the mastermind behind all this. Because he is reluctant to reveal any information about his plot, Wee-gong immediately kills him. Seeing Wee-gong, who doesn't hesitate to kill other people, Young-ho finally realizes that Wee-gong is no ordinary man. Wee-gong then takes Jong's cell phone and learns that Young-ho turns out to be a corrupt cop who has been working with Jong and his gang to launch their illegal business. After finding evidence of Young-ho's involvement with Jong and his gang, Wee-gong threatens him and asks Young-ho to do all his orders if he doesn't want the evidence handed over to other policemen. Since Young-ho doesn't want his career as a policeman to end like that, he finally complies with Wee-gong's wishes so that Wee-gong is acquitted of all charges. Afterward, Yoon-ji is rushed to the hospital for intensive care, and Wee-gong accompanies her while she is there. He then asks her to tell the police what really happened. She then blames herself for all the bad things that happened to him and her friend. Wee-gong calms her down, reassuring Yoon-ji that everything that happened wasn't her mistake, and asks her to rest and focus on her recovery. Not long after, Young-ho meets Wee-gong at the hospital.
I'm blaming her for everything that happened. Right? Talking about, oh, no, it's not her fault. It is her fault. If she stayed her ass at the house and chillax, none of this was going to happen. Like that ass. With every action, there is a reaction. So that ass, let's go.
He said he had already found out about Young-ho colluding with Jong when he accidentally saw Song-yeon's body in his car. Wee-gong concluded that it was Young-ho who killed Song-yeon to frame him. Wee-gong then asks Young-ho to find out about the Russian mafia syndicate that wants Yoon-ji and the other young girls. At first, Young-ho refuses his request because it's too risky. But Young-ho has no choice but to obey him because Wee-gong has the evidence to destroy his career as a police officer. A few days later, Wee-gong meets Yoon-ji, an arms dealer who used to be his partner but decides to retire early due to an injury to his leg. Wee-gong enlists his help in finding a sniper rifle and a silencer gun. Hearing this, he looks surprised because he thinks that Wee-gong has retired completely. Wee-gong says he has a small problem to solve and needs the weapons ASAP. That evening, Wee-gong gets a call from Young-ho telling him about Park, a member of the criminal syndicate tasked with sending young girls to Russia, including Yoon-ji. On the other hand, Park was furious when he found out that his men had been killed and the police had found out about his illegal activities. Because of that, he packed up his belongings and rushed out of place. However, Wee-gong turned out to have arrived there first and immediately killed all of Park's men who were guarding the place without experiencing the slightest difficulty, even killing them all while drinking coffee. Wee-gong
I was
finally
just about to say that shit. My man's walking around with a Glock with a suppressor, drinking coffee while duppy, and it's just like, mm, mm. It's like walking around with a spliff or a cigarette, and you just killing people. That's how you know you're a cold-hearted motherfucker. Let's go.
Manages to corner Park and forces him to reveal information about his criminal syndicate. Park was initially reluctant to say anything to him, but Wee Gong pointed out his gun. Finally, Park reveals that he and his gang, who turns out to be a woman nicknamed Pig Mama, provide young girls to grown men who are willing to pay a high price to satisfy their desires. However, their customers are not random people but high-ranking government officials and wealthy businessmen. Soon, Park and his gang are asked to provide at least 5 young girls to serve a chief justice named Kim. Park and Pig Mama usually target high school girls who are still unstable and lure them with some money before...
Yeah, this shit crazy, because this shit is actually going on right now still. Probably as we speak, somebody's getting abducted on a ship going to some country so they can use them for their pleasures. And there's always these high-ranking officials, like niggas in parliament, the police force, the army, business owners. Like, why don't y'all chill out? Like, you feel me? Y'all deserve to die if y'all keep doing shit like that. Like, these are underage people and y'all just using them to satisfy y'all needs. I'm sure y'all got a wife at home and she's just there untouched. Let's go.
Before finally trapping them into the circle of illegal things. She also works with criminal syndicates from Russia and conducts exchanges with them, in which they also send young girls from Russia to become a hooker in South Korea.
Damn.
After killing Park, Wee Gong calls someone and asks him to come there immediately. Not long after, a group of people, led by a man named Tae-hyun, finally arrived and cleaned up the crime scene and got rid of the bodies of Park and all his men. Tae-hyun looks surprised when he gets a call from Wee Gong because he should have retired from his job as a professional killer. He tells Tae-hyun that he will need Tae-hyun and his team's services soon. He needs a big group to help him, and there will be murders to be committed outside the city. At first, Tae-hyun refuses Wee Gong's request, but after he offers to pay Tae-hyun 3 times over, he finally agrees. The next day, Wee Gong finally gets the weapon he wanted and goes straight to testing it at Hyun-ju's place. After that, he meets Yoon-ji at the hospital, who is devastated when she finds out that her friend, also a victim, chose to end her life. While at the hospital, Wee Gong calls Young-ho and asks about Yoon-ji's past, who was adopted by Soo-ai after her biological mother died when she was 5 years old. Young-ho also tells Wee Gong about Kim, who turns out to be from a fairly well-known family, and has such strong political influence that it would be impossible for Wee Gong to put him in jail. However, Wee Gong doesn't care because he will not send Kim to prison. Instead, he will send Kim straight to hell. Young-ho also tells Wee Gong that Kim will have a party at a luxurious mansion in a special area belonging to his family so that his depraved actions will not be caught by anyone. Long story short, when Kim was busy partying with sexy women, Wee Gong immediately took action to kill all his men who were guarding the place with the sniper rifle he bought from Hyun-ju. On the other hand, Yuri, who worked for Kim, immediately knew someone had barged in there because he couldn't contact his subordinates who were guarding outside the mansion. Wee Gong, who had managed to infiltrate the mansion, then engaged in a gun battle with Yuri's men, who attacked him simultaneously. At the same time, Young-ho, who was also there, pointed a gun at Wee Gong and threatened to kill him because Young-ho had now sided with Kim and Yuri. Turned out, Wee Gong could easily beat them, but he allowed himself to be caught to be brought in front of Kim. After that, he is led into a room where Kim is seen with a teenage girl who looks very depressed and wants to run away.
Yo, it was like the cop helped him get there, and he still switched on him when he got there. Like, my boy, what you think gonna happen? You already know the man is a deadly killer, and you still gonna switch up. Man, now he about to treat you like all of them. He about to kill your dumb ass.
Not long after, Young-ho tells Wee Gong that he's not afraid of Wee Gong handing over evidence of his involvement with Jong and his gang because Kim has promised to help him by taking advantage of his connections with the police and the prosecution. Wee Gong isn't surprised by Young-ho's words, having anticipated this, and is as calm as ever. After Young-ho and all his men take him away from there, Kim immediately drags the girl into his room, where he will satisfy his desires for the teenage girl. At the same time, Wee Gong finally fights back, bringing down Young-ho and Kim's men with great ease. Soon afterward, Wee Gong took Young-ho's gun and did not hesitate to kill him because Young-ho had dared to betray him. Wee Gong didn't give any mercy to Kim's men and immediately killed them all. Not long after, Yuri arrived there, and the two of them were again involved in a fierce one-on-one fight. This time, they must determine the victor of the deadly battle, and Wee Gong can't be defeated easily. Neither can Yuri, who is also a professional killer. With weapons or relying solely on martial skills, the two had almost equal strength and a very strong determination to defeat each other. However, after going through a fierce and deadly battle, Wee Gong was finally able to overpower Yuri and dropped his body into the middle of the party, which made everyone scream in fear and flee in panic. On the other hand, Kim, who still doesn't know that all his men have been killed by Wee Gong, looked happy because he thought he would have fun all night. However, how surprised he was when he found Wee Gong already in his room holding a gun. Kim calls his men, but Wee Gong says no one will come since he killed them all. Kim then tries to deal with Wee Gong, promising that Kim will make him immune from the law so that he can freely carry out his illegal activities. Wee Gong seems interested in Kim's offer but then says he's long retired from his dirty work and is now a good citizen by paying taxes on time and running a legitimate business.
My boy said,
Afterward, Wee Gong asks Kim to reveal about Pig Mama, who turns out to be Soo-ah. Kim said that Soo-ah had the heart to sell her adoptive daughter, Yoon-ji, to make big profits from the illegal business. After getting the information, Wee Gong got up and was about to leave. At that point, Kim thinks he's safe and Wee Gong won't kill him. But then, Wee Gong turned around and shot him, laughing so hard that Kim finally died. Sometime later, Soo-ah, who was having lunch with Hyun-soo on Jeju Island, was surprised by an incoming call from Kim. She briefly said goodbye.
Wait. So, his wife friend is the one that saw her daughter? Wait. What? Yeah, she deserved to die. Hurry up. Let me see that.
Bye to Hyun-soo to answer the call from him. She then gets into her car and answers the phone call. Unexpectedly, the one who called Soo-ah was not Kim, but Wee Gong, who turned out to be waiting for her in his car. He told her that Kim had died in her criminal gangs, including Park and Jong. Wee Gong had already guessed that Soo-ah was after him from the start and then pointed a gun at her head. He is really annoyed with her because she dared to involve his wife. Soo-ah turns out to have conspired with Young-ho to frame Wee Gong and blackmail him for harassing Yoon-ji, a teenage girl. However, in the end, he destroys Soo-ah's criminal syndicate and topples Kim's power. After that, Wee Gong asks Soo-ah to drive somewhere and says that from now on, he and his wife will take care of Yoon-ji until she grows up and can live independently. When they finally arrive at an uninhabited location, Wee Gong shoots Soo-ah in the head, killing her. After killing Soo-ah, Wee Gong then got out of the car and walked home, while from the opposite direction, a van was seen driving up to his car. They are Tae-hyun and his team in charge of cleaning up the murder and removing her body. Later, Wee Gong meets Hyun-soo, enjoying the sunset on the beach, and tells his wife that he kept his promise to take care of Yoon-ji and took her on vacation with them. The film ends with Hyun-soo smiling at Wee Gong and then hugging her husband. It is also revealed that the teenage girl who appeared in Wee Gong's flashback is Hyun-soo. The moral that we can learn from this film is that bad intentions and greed will bring us misery. Plus, never leave our children with someone we don't really know the background of, because it could be that person is a former assassin who just wants to relax.
Shit, I don't mind that. I don't mind leaving my kid with a former assassin who trying to relax. He gonna hold them down. Da-dash. But yeah, man, thanks for tuning in with the next video. We out. Wow. Did it stop recording? I don't even know. Alright, let's try and fix that.